Hi, and welcome back to Always Dolls. Today we want to show you how to make a replica of Blaire Wilson's Farmhouse restaurant oven. From a sheet of 5mm foam core, I first cut out the front and back walls, 2 side walls, and the base. With a pencil, I lightly sketched in the details and also cut out the trim at the bottom to create the feet. With the remaining foam core, I cut out 2 internal walls for support, the cupboard shelf, the oven dividing wall, and the top oven wall. Next, I want to work on the back wall. Using paperboard, I've cut lengths 1 centimetre wide to use as siding. I've also cut thicker strips that will go around the outside edge for trim and traced the detail pattern that's used for the Pleasant Family Farm that will sit on top. This is what it looks like so far. And to create an inlay effect, I've traced out the shape of the template, and I'm going to cut this out on each strip so that when it's glued down, this piece should slot right in. Here is what it looks like so far. And I've also added rectangular paperboard pieces as detail to the side walls. It's time to go back to the front wall and add the details of the cupboard door and oven doors. Carefully cut them out. Now take the cupboard door and shave 2mm from the width and length so that it will easily swing when you put it back inside the frame to make a working door. Do the same thing for both oven doors. Again, I've used strips of paperboard 1 centimetre wide to trim the cupboard door, and for the 2 oven doors, I've cut out an internal window and I'll use empty plastic packaging on top to make a glass. So my progress so far shows the structure put together. You'll notice I've gone outside and I've spray painted the oven doors silver. And here is a back view. Since the pieces aren't all spray painted their final colour, it's just put together using masking tape. And that's the spacing of the internal walls. To make the stovetop burners and working knobs, I first cut a rectangle of foam core that was 12.5 by 4 centimetres to sit on front. Then, taking a small hole punch, I cut circles from black cardstock. I stacked and glued about 6 discs per knob, then cut a small triangle from thick craft foam to go on top. I then mounted them on a toothpick. Next, I used one of the discs and drew 5 spots on the front wall piece that would match the 5 on my silver piece. Taking thin strips of silver metallic cardstock, I wrapped it round each knob and then glued them to the frame. Pushing the toothpick into the hole, it will then easily slot in here. Stovetop is made by cutting out a rectangle of black card foam, which is 12.5 by 10.5, and then taking a sheet of corrugated cardstock to place down the centre. I then cut a black rectangle and curved the edges, and using fun foam matted this so that we'll get some dimension when the burner sits on the stovetop. Of course, these extra pieces will need to be painted black. For the burner, I just cut a circle of craft foam and thin strips to go around it. Switching to the countertop. For this, I've used thick 10mm craft foam. I've cut it 30 centimeters by 10 centimeters. I've traced out the shape where the stovetop will be and cut a small notch. Now I'm going to cover it with marble adhesive contact paper . I went outside where it's well ventilated and spray painted my pieces. I wanted to explain how to use the toothpick method to make a swinging door. Start by taking your ruler and mark where you want the toothpicks to go. Mine are about 2 or 3 mil from the edge of the door. Then take your toothpicks and push them through the top of the frame all the way through on each side. It should look like this. Now you want to pre-drill the holes in the door with the toothpicks. Go slowly because the last thing you want to do is puncture the paperboard on top of the foam core. The next step is to take your toothpick and push it through the top of the frame into the hole you created in the door. You can cut the excess off. Now that they're both in place, you can swing the door open and shut. If this were the oven, I would simply put the pegs through the bottom of the door so that it swings outward. Once your doors for the cupboard and oven are in place, you can line up the shelf pieces and glue them in. And for the oven, I sprayed them silver. Also for the oven, I hot glued toothpicks as supports to take a 9 centimeter piece of thicker dowel as the rail. And I'll also hot glue that in place. For the doorknob, I found these cute mini little handles at Lincraft, and I spray painted them gold to match the American Girl colour scheme. Congratulations! Now you have a kitchen counter and oven that looks like American Girl's Girl of the Year, Blaire Wilson's Farmhouse Kitchen. Here is a side view. Back. And front.